welcome to a class entitled Kabbalah and the Narcissist. This class will be a Torah discussion, analysis, and investigation on narcissism, a plague that we know from social media of today's generation. It's a common word, very common, Jewish circles especially. Why? Why is it in our time? Where does it come from? Who is it? Where is it? Why is it? Is it even authentic Torah, or is it psychobabble? I'm led to believe that it is a very real topic based on the title and premise of the class, Kabbalah and the Narcissist. The first challenge was when I put the idea together and I saw coming down this concept. There's a very fundamental problem. There's no such thing as a narcissist in Hebrew. It's an English word with English letters. Number one, what would you call narcissism in Hebrew? In Torah, Hebrew. That was the first challenge I had. And from that, once I saw, I had the idea of programming the class. Once I saw what you call it in Hebrew, what I would call it in Hebrew, and particularly Kabbalah Hebrew, the class really came like falling dominoes. So here we go. For better or worse, this is how I believe the Torah will answer up the plague of our time, narcissism. There, again, just a slight background that has really nothing to do with this, but it's a nice intro. The Rambam is famous for one really huge thing in Kabbalah. That he does not hold of demons. Right? Famous thing. You know about that, right? The Vilna Gaon on this concept that the Rambam does not hold of demons says, in quote, the Rambam was not in Pardes, the mystical dimension, even the prophetic mystical dimension of Torah. By the Rambam's own volition, that's what Pardes is. The Rambam was not there, therefore he doesn't know the mystical dimension, says the various Mukubalim, i.e. the Vilna Gaon. Very, very hot topic, right? In the rationalist stream of Judaism and the, let's just call it the Zohar stream of Judaism. I don't know how many Zohar guys have really looked into the rationalist camp and vice versa. So by definition, they're going to be at odds. As Amnon will tell you, the smaller the deal in Judaism, the more the fuss. And that, we're going to find out, is a main core concept of narcissism. As I learned from a learning partner today, that's Freud's definition of narcissism. The smaller the, in Hebrew, the smaller the Indian, the greater the fuss. Okay? Now, again, the rationalist and the Zohar guy are going to have this fuss. Demons. Now, who in the world discusses demons? You don't go to the supermarket and say, hey, Bob, you're a kosher Jew and everything, but, you just don't get the demon thing. Right? Most people don't clash and have ego wars over demonology. Right? Except for in Sfat, where they write books on demonology. Right? So, in Sfat, everyone has their niche, I guess. Demons are just weird. It's weird. And the reason why I bring it up is, as I realize what is narcissism, it is the Shin Dalet Yehudi. Shin Dalet in Torah literature is a demon. And Yehudi, Jew. So it's the demonic Jew. That sounds pretty weird. Right? That would sound pretty weird and outlandish. Right? And the narcissist is actually a demonic Jew. That's not what actually it means. In the Zohar, and then Kabbalistic literature, Hasidic literature, and I'm not saying this is the answer to the Vilna Gaon Rambam dispute, but it may be an answer to certain aspects of their differences of view. The Talmud is very clear there is demons in the world, just so you know, and the Rambam, the ideal rationalist from Babylonian point of view, Babylonian Talmud, is that is a mashal or an analogy. It's not literal. There are no demons. Those are the two schools of thought. And then in the middle, the Mukubalim will argue to one side or the other, right? It's not exactly as the Talmud is coming to say. They're saying maybe the Talmud is giving you an analogy, and the Rambam, whatever. But again, that's not the scope. The scope is when the Zohar, the body of work of Kabbalah that deals with the demon concept from the Gemara, right, understands that there may be some kinds of demon. Again, that's not the scope. Whether I believe it or not or into it, that's not my intention, nor am I stating that. What I am stating is there's a concept, even a level, of demonology called Shindal Yehudi. It is not a demon by any right with a pitchfork and horns and presents itself on Halloween. And it's not even per se a Jew. And it's not a demonic Jew or any other form. What it means, and this is a shot. This is what the Zohar clearly says. This is not a twist on words. This is the Zohar. And it describes it as such. There are souls that are born of man and woman. And we're going to explain in this class, within this next hour, how these souls become Shindal Yehudi. The Shindal Yehudi has lost touch with his soul. He has a soul. He's a Jew or he's a non-Jew. Whatever he is, he's a human being and he likes ice cream. He's a person. But he has no connection to his soul. He believes he has a soul, maybe. He might pray next to you in synagogue. He might be a Torah scholar. He may be a world-renowned Torah scholar. He may be a poverty guy on the street. Irrelevant. His problem is he is skewed. He is skewed and perverted in that he does not have any connection to his Tselem Elokim, the divine image he was created in. In layman terms, not so layman terms, but what I call layman terms, he has lost his mazel. No connection to his mazel whatsoever. And we're not talking astrology. We're talking the spiritual data of him. You might call it his name, the energy of himself in the world on a spiritual level, his influence. Right? Instead of saying, let's say like Abraham, my kindness will spread through the world and make Gerim. We could agree on that, right? Abraham had an influence. He didn't say, well, my name is Abraham. I can do whatever I would like. Abraham prescribes to, I have a great trait called kindness that God has bestowed upon me. And when I am kind in the world, that influence goes. And it creates a change and an awakening in the cosmos. Cosmos on earth, souls awaken to my kindness, and I become the Abraham program. You might have the Moses program, right? A guy writes Torah, and the Torah spreads in religion. Again, a very earthy kind of point of view from the side of men. I mean, Moses did write a book, and he probably told one guy at some point, yeah, I'm writing a book, right? He didn't have to get into it. It's the Torah, and it's the basis of the universe. The point is, we do live in an earthy, low existence, even if once in a while, depending on how holy you are. And we all have this. Whether you do charity, you help an old lady cross the street, you do mitzvot, acts of kindness, it's not because you're patting yourself on the back. You really, genuinely are a powerfully, amazingly good person. You just don't believe it outright, and that is the tikkun, or repair of man. To connect to how powerful your soul really is. One can say that's the entire exercise of King David in Psalms. David wants to say, how great am I, but not from a narcissist point of view. Right? I know I'm a king, and I'm this, and I'm going to be the Messiah. He says, I'm going to be the Messiah. Imagine that. He said he knows he's going to be the Messiah. Right? To bring in a wrestling analogy, John Smith, a 6-time world champion, said the hardest thing he had to do after he won his first world championship was to tell himself, John, look in the mirror, you are a world champion. You're the best in the world. That's not arrogance, it was fact. Alright, people do have the right to excel and to be masters of a trade or ability. And that's the goal. Okay, God gave it to you. Now use it. Spread your vessels throughout the world. Steve Jobs, let's say, did it in the iPhone. To bring just a crude example. What Steve Jobs stayed away from, well, aside from ego stuff, it wasn't Steve Jobsism. Right? It wasn't an iPhone saying, picture of Steve holding a phone on every iPhone. No. It was the vessels of light that he had in him. Right? So King David's saying, yes, I am the Messiah, I am the king, I am the chosen of God. All these things that God says in the Tanakh. But David in Psalms is saying, forget that. I want to know who I am as a person. What am I capable of? I don't get credit for saying, King David business card. Okay, everyone, I'm doing all the mitzvahs here. He wants to know, who am I? And David's the ultimate case because very easy to say, you're a narcissist. And for those that didn't read Tehillim, go read Doeg and Achitofel. That's what they're doing. You are a narcissist, they're saying. And David's saying, why do they keep thinking I'm a narcissist? I'm just trying to be me. And that is the battle. Right? You are a king. Everybody is, because we all have the aspect in Kabbalah called Malchus. Malchus. Malchut, I don't know whatever pronunciation you want to do. But let's keep it Ashkenazi for the sake of the class. Malchus. Revelation. The power to reveal. Right? I have Katz's printing shop. Right? I'm telling the world, hey, come to me and I will print you an amazing book. And I'm giving you my life on this. I'm taking your money, I'm giving you a printed book and saying, here, it is craftsman quality, you can count on me, I'm your guy. That's kind of narcissist, isn't it? You of all people, you can bind my book? Yeah. And my job as the book binders, book printers, to say, look, it's a bit narcissist to say that, I am the greatest book printer in Sfat. But really, I worked hard, I went to school, I tried hard, my dad was a Holocaust survivor, and I did this, and I did that, and I did a lot of mitzvahs, and the whole story, you say, wow, you really probably are a great book printer. And I have every right to be. Every profession is this. You take the chutzpah to put yourself out and say, yes, that's me, I'm the one taking your money to clean your teeth, I am a dentist. Right? Now, who are you to give that over to you? But you hear this story, you say, hey, I like this guy. He's good. He's caliber. And we get on good. And that's how the world works. No longer is he, the mythology of the dentist. He's your friend named Bob. So again, King David's trying to say, don't view me as, I'm the king and I inherit. Who's the guy? Who's the guy? And David's the one to bring that out. Okay. Now, with that said, the Shindal Yehudi, he has lost touch with that. He is not interested in justifying himself, evaluating himself, working on himself. He just is, I am the book printer. I am God's gift to printing. And when somebody else opens up the print shop, he's looking to bring them down. That's what he does. Right? Covert. Really covert. Because remember, there are no spiritual principles here. It's just me, my books, my thing, and me. And I'll tell you how great I am. I'm kind. I'll tell you I'm the best. And I even help old ladies cross the street. In fact, I gotta go. I gotta help an old lady cross the street now even. I just can't stop doing mitzvahs. So it's a very fine line. Right? And I even heard in yeshiva, it's actually beneficial to pump yourself up for, Jewish dating. Because the girl doesn't want to hear, yeah, the guy's a nebuch, he doesn't do anything, and that's not modesty. You have to say, yeah, look, I got this thing going on, I print books, and I'm successful, and it's a very fine line. That's the nature of Malchus. And here we are coming into Yom Kippur, that's what it is. God says, hey, take the world, go, put your face out there, own it, and do it right, and don't steal, and don't cheat. That is the Torah in motion. You're given a Yetzer Hara to repair it. So the narcissist, Shindal Yehudi, is one that takes it way too far. His Yetzer is a god to him. In fact, they would say, I am my Yetzer. There's no difference. So he puts some mascara and lipstick on it and go out and put your makeup on and impress everyone how beautiful your Yetzer is. That's the challenge. So the Zohar explains Shindal Yehudi, right? Again, not demonic, not this and that. It's the guy who has no mazel. He is not interested in, God's divine providence that sends you. We're going to use the analogy of the book printer in Sfat, okay? Bob, the book printer in Sfat. God sends him people, right? Hey, go, the divine hand. Hey, Bob's print shop. Hey, I need a book. Bob says, of course they came to me. I am the print master. Right? So he's not even aware that God's hand and providence and mazel and blessing is pushing the shefa or energy to you. In your eyes, of course they come to me. I'm me. Who else would they go to? So the Zohar paints that picture, right? You have lost the divine image. It's just you. And the books of Hasidus take up that idea and they perpetuate it and cultivating the concept. And that is the basic premise. It is the body devoid of any spiritual content. It says in the Psalms, the word od in Hebrew, meaning furthermore, or more to come, is code word for prophet, for the body. In Moses, in the end of the Torah, it says there was not another prophet in Israel like Moses. The word od is used. That Moses' prophecy is in his body. He's so super intuitive that he had the clear vision from the very physicality was revealed to him. So you can see the dangers of Moses going narcissist. And you might even call that Bilam. Right? Bilam is that power. Bilam riding on the donkey. That's what that is. Moses fights it. He keeps it. And the Torah says, you want to bet? Moses was the most humble man that ever lived. Good luck ruining that one. But the very fact is, that is the tight wire act. Right? Bringing the spirituality into your life. That's what mazel is. Revelation of the divine hand in your life, and it's not you. You are not the one that did it. Even when you did it, God used you to do it. Versus, it's all me. I did it. And the difference is, it's very hard to tell the difference. Very hard. Because the narcissist, he has the ability to project his self-esteem, his self-value so high, a lot of people buy it. A lot of people buy it. And that's what this class is going to be, the differentials between the different categories. Okay. Background on the concept, and we're going to kind of go through a quick, rapid procession. Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, okay? Let's just give a running commentary of how this model works. Adam and Eve are physical bodies in Gan Eden. I'm going to speak kind of terse. And they have mazel. What is mazel in this usage of the word? Revelation of soul. Right? They're aware of the channel that goes up to the throne of glory above. Now, Eve is the spiritual woman. Women have the mazel above, and it is superimposed on their body. Right? So this is like that level of Moses. Women are intuitive and are very much like a female Moses in the microcosm. Man sees that and says, wow, what a great body. And that is the perversion of Adam and Eve. He sees that, he does not realize he's actually not interested in her physical flesh, but the mazel that outfits or garments that flesh. It's confused and it becomes a perversion. She's unaware of it. She sees him and says, wow, this guy's great. He sees who I am. And then she says, but him? That's not it at all. He's got a thing. He's not, no. His body is not that. So she's forced to look up. And she says, this is amazing, this guy. The women say, I see his potential, right? He's a provider. He's kind. He would be a great father for my kids. And he, meanwhile, is getting all the kavod or glory on him. He's saying, wow, so let me get this straight. I'm great. I'm awesome. I'm your hero. Wow, go me. He doesn't realize she's looking up, he's looking, and they mismatch. Now she's going to say, eat the fruit. Let's give him everything, this guy. She goes to the snake because he deifies her body. There's a snake, puts the venom in, right? It's the whole mismatch. And he says, the woman you gave to be with me gave me the tree and I ate. He didn't think that his greatness was to look up at his spiritual self. He says, I am awesome. And we are still suffering that mismatch. The Torah says by the Ramak of Sfat, when Cain is repaired through the Mashiach, which is Pinchas, it will show Adam actually was legit the whole time. He just got manhandled by this spiritual physical combo on a guy who thought he was only physical and didn't really connect to what the Torah calls, and you love this, Zira Ilah, the upper splendor, the wisdom of man before the level that it was not tainted by sin. Okay, when he does this sin, i.e. not recognizing the truth, he is gazing at her mazel. And that is the venom that pushes her to the snake, which we say she was naked, which in Hebrew naked is cunning. The same word, arum. And the snake was also called arum. So cunning and naked are interchangeable in Torah ideology in the story of Gan Eden. Adam, thus, by gazing at her, it's very similarly to gazing at the divine presence, he impurifies her mazel. Right? Imagine that is the filth. Right? When you gaze at a woman's beauty in an impure way, znus, immorality, you are the concept of Song of Songs, I am black and I am beautiful. Right? The Shekhinah in exile. I mean, this is Chassidus 101. You know, not to stare at women and pervert the Torah. Guard your eyes, shmir sabris. So you can see why it's that Kabbalistic slant in the Chassidus and why immorality is the focal point of the narcissist in our world today. The goal, obviously, is women should guard their bodies from eyeballing, right? Take the long route, be modest, by understanding that the raw tendencies of man are to gaze. The man has to realize what his eyes are gazing at. First of all, stop gazing. Number two, recognize it's the mazel you seek, not the flesh and bones. Right? A change of perspective will rectify the man, which we say, guard the eyes, which is the highest spot in Kabbalah, and the body and piety follows suit. Okay, that's the basic premise, right? Let's just outline that in very simple terms. Gazing at mazel, one's spiritual soul that is imprinted in the physical body, right? Let's say this office. Somebody looks at this and says, wow, this office, well, you must be a millionaire. I say, why would you think that? Well, you have a computer. Well, you're just, ayin hara, evil eye, judging jealousy, and my job is to work on the internet. I mean, that's what people do, right? Wow, you have a motorcycle. Wow, you must have a lot of money. I'm a delivery guy for a pizza shop. I have to have a motorcycle. Right? Everybody wants to make a mythology out of it, Well, you have this. You must be. You're looking at the mazel and you're judging it according to mythology. And you're actually ignoring the mazel. When you do it, you're staring at the physical. Right? The job is to isolate and acknowledge what you're looking at. Don't gaze and stare. That is the definition of the evil eye. And worship the physical when you are actually appreciating God's gifts that He has given to this person through mazel. And again, one statement to make it simple. Gazing at mazel, a person's gifts from God the wrong way, blackens that person's soul. Ayin hara is real. Got it? Okay. That's what's called the mazel in the self. There's me, devoid of my mazel, or me with mazel. If I understand it's mazel, i.e. it belongs to God, it doesn't belong to me. I'm just the malchus. I'm the conduit at the end of the tunnel that God sends His energy through the world. My job is to be quiet, let it go, thank God, keep the eyes on God, and say, it's all for your glory. When I take it for myself, I shut off above, I have no soul, I say, look what I did. Mazel in self. We see the building here, right? The narcissist, the Shindal Yehudi who has no idea of the divine image. Selim Elohim, the divine image, is man with his guts and flesh and blood, totally illuminated by the divine that inspires or blesses through man. Right? That soul in the body is the basic idea. And revelation and connection of the soul in context with the body as opposed to a total divorce of soul and body. Okay. Next topic. The tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Tree of life, equate that with holiness. Holiness, as described by King David in Psalms. That which is just a little bit above mundane. Things like the priesthood. things like the temple, things like your name, right? You are just flesh and blood and guts, but you have a name, right? And so if I just look at you, you without a name, the Vilna Gaon says that's you in Gehenna, just person, rotting. But if we call you Bob, all of a sudden, hey, that's Bob. Right? That's like the idea of a woman. A woman just without anything is just flesh, but with the mazel, she's a beautiful woman. So the name in our lives elevate us or reveal the mazel we have. The greater the name you have, right? What do we say? The greatest crown given, not to Torah, not to priesthood, but the name itself. Keter Shem Tov, which is the basis of the Baal Shem Tov, is the holiness you have. The holier your name, you bring out your name, you elevate your name, you are holy. If your name inspires filth, you are not holy. Or I would say you are not pure to reveal your innate holiness. I like that. And if you are not that, you are a klippa. Klippa means you siphon off of holiness. Very simple. We have two trees, knowledge of good and evil and life. You're either going to bring out your holiness in purity, or you are not bringing out your holiness in impurity. You are either divorced from your soul and a Shindal Yehudi, or you are accentuating your soul and you are exotic. Very simple. There's a lot of gray in the middle. That's called most people, the Beinani. He's trying to figure out what is good, what is bad, what is das. He's repairing the tree of knowledge that he is tainted from. He's trying to find the meaning of life. Klippa, as explained by the Arizal, those people, the shells, the husks, that siphon holiness. Right? When we do a sin, you attach those husks to you. And you have to shake them off. That sounds kind of a mythology in itself. But let's say it's not. You're a Baal Tshuva. You were in some shtusim. You were choser b'tshuva. And in the time of your past, you did things that were not quite great. And the difference is, had you not sinned, you would have gone to a place of pristine people that never saw sin. Because that's the birds of a feather flock together. You go to a place that has, let's say, ex-cons come to learn about God. You're not an ex-con, but you understand that you may have some friends who are ex-cons. So you're learning Torah and you're going for God and you're saying, yes, it's awesome. And your learning partner's an ex-con. And he might not be so great at Torah. He talks a good game. He just might be a Shindal Yehudi. He's here for the Torah to tell him how great he is. You're here to find out about your soul and your partner together. Why? You're both looking from and you're great and he's got the payas and the beard and he invites you for Shabbos and he says he loves God. And he has no idea. And you say, do I even know God? Oh my. And everyone says you're both, great, strong, pure Jews. Or whatever you are. And you're both thinking on the same page. But underneath, he's still an ex-con and you're going to the Shemayim in growth. So it turns out that this klippa is siphoning all your kedusha. He's in your life because you did do a sin way back that you have to do tshuva for. Now that doesn't mean heaven and hell. It just means you got to repair that stain. Read King David. He says over and over, get the stain off my garments. Because you're still hanging around these people because why? You have not connected to your higher self. You don't really believe that you are a power of God, let's say of kindness. You say, I'm not kind. When I was in 3rd grade, I stole Cindy's marker in art class. That's the thing you did. You have to rise and connect and say, I am a kind person. And do tshuva and grow. Then the klippas go away. Then you grow into the community of God that you belong to. And you always have to repair. So eventually your life is a zigzag. Right? You're positioning yourself. Right? Let's say there's 2 bookstores in town. One happens to be kosher. Just a bracha. And one is not kosher. You used to go to the one that's not kosher. The klippas pull you there. Right? Because your chavrusa says, your learning partner says, hey, come buy books off my friend's my bill. And you do. And you get a good deal on those books. But when you're there, you get to speak Lashon Hara. But if you go to the good bookstore, and there's no connections, and no Lashon Hara, but it's boring. And one day you realize, I think I should go to this bookstore. And you realize that's the good community. So all of the things in your life you start to gain knowledge. Where's the right path? Right? There's two delis, the schmutzy one and the good one. And there's always a reason to go to the schmutzy one. I get a discount. They all stand for me when I walk in. I find good deals here. The boys are there. The other one's boring and ridiculous. And let's say if I'm Jewish, why would I go to a non-Jewish place? Then you find out he's a ger. He's a righteous ger, not Jewish. You say, is there such a thing? So that's the transcendence. To find the holy path, you have to really make the connections that are miraculous that you wouldn't make. Non-Jew, righteous? Nah, come on. Yes, it's the ger. Really, learn about it. Versus the Jew, of course he's righteous. He's Jewish. So what? He's an ex-con. He's doing tshuva. They're both correct. But where do you belong? Where's the more pure one? Thus, you have the concept of the klipa and kedusha. The holiness and siphoning from that holiness. This is the essence of the Arizal's Kabbalah and Chassidus. Page 1 of Etz Chaim, the Tree of Life Kabbalah. Your job is to shake off the klippas. To get rid of those negative influences in your life. Right when you may need to make a crucial decision, you cannot afford the bad influence to come in. Because he just wants the influence from you. He wants to take your mazel. And you're trying to gain your mazel. That's the war. Chassidus, this is the definition of the Chassidic path. Guard your eyes. Guard your mazel. And let's focus on guard your eyes. Why do the rediscovers focus so much on not looking at improper things? It's not, as much as it's a moral issue and an ethical issue, and even you can rationalize you shouldn't be doing this, the real definition, you are putting venom all over the subject you stare at. Ayin hara, evil eye. Attractive woman across the street, and you're, whoa, I got you. You say, oh, well, I shouldn't be such a dog about it. Yeah, you shouldn't, but that's not the point. The point is, you're just baking this soul. You're disintegrating her mazel. Ruining her self-esteem. It is the poison of the nachash, of the snake. Right? In your eyes, she is naked, a room. And remember, naked, a room is cunning. You're being cunning, you're putting that energy there. You're beaming over cunningness. So now tomorrow she's going to just show a little bit more. Cunning. And you're saying, more naked, yes, awesome. And this goes on and on. And look at the society. Everyone's naked. You have the internet, which is a total disgrace to God. Because it starts with you doing things with your eyes that even the animal kingdom doesn't do. And I'm not talking about illegal things. It's not illegal, these things. It's midas chassidus. It's look at the mazel. Look at someone and say, wow, this person looks like a really nice person. What's wrong with that? Judge meritably. Right? And say, wow, this person just did a mitzvah. Way to go. Awesome. Why do you have to superimpose on the body? And when you do something, don't say, well, my good looks got me through. No, maybe your mazel did and God gave you a bracha. So again, it's guarding the eyeballs, how you view yourself. These are not averas or sins according to the Torah. Right? It's not one of the 613 per se. So say, don't look out your window. But the Torah says, don't be disgusting. And they'll say, oh, that's open for interpretation. The point is, Kabbalah is real. The narcissist is real. And there are two schools of thought. The Kabbalist and the non-Kabbalist. The rationalist and the Kabbalist. The rationalist says, it doesn't mean any things when we say the eyes, and that's just extreme. Well, they are doing extreme. Because they don't know what the real intent is. But if you understood the real intent of guard your eyes, you would do it. Nobody deserves to be grilled. When you are the ex-con, and you're going to the bookstore shopping for books, and they're looking at you like, is this guy an ex-con? And you say, man, they're totally judging me. Because they know I'm next con. That's righteous? You call yourself religious? You're feeling ayin hara. So you know you don't want to be grilled. Thus you can rationalize why you shouldn't grill others. Even if it's not the judgment articulated in your brain. We sense the mazel. And we say, this guy's a lowlife. You look at him. His hat has a dent in it. Who has that? You're totally judging the guy. You're picking up the mazel. Instead of saying the guy's trying to do tshuva, leave him alone, you're just grilling him with your eyes, even without articulating it in your mind. That's what we have to do, is realize the soul is speaking, the mazel is speaking, and the body is just a reflection of that. When we divorce that, that's where the Shindol Yehudi comes out, and it's a battle. You know, I am more pure than you. I am stronger than you. I'm more valuable than you. Narcissism. Now we get into political, dancing. Now I'm going to try to get you out of here. That's the world. Now there's two kinds of tainted mazel, or the perverted image of God, Selam Elohim, or the Shindal Yehudi. He who is, I'm going to use the word gazed upon, right? Gazed upon, to the point that he's abusive or suicidal. I.e., does his mazel have the resiliency to it, that he flirts with death? Or does he really feel that he's dead? Big difference. Because if he's resilient, he can brush up the death all he wants. He knows he's coming back. But if it's suicidal, those are the destructive people. Really taking a hit out of you. Because they're already out the door. That mazel's not coming back. And they're looking to take as much mazel with them. I call this the sickness of Torah. Why? Because the psychologists say that it comes from the dysfunction of parents, right? The dead parent, abusive parent, from young ages. I mean, that's really the fallout of the Akeda, right? Abraham, go kill your son program, which Abraham succeeded. But we all live the fractal Torah. We all have the sacrifice your son program. Maybe not literally, but in some way, shape, and form. We all have that test. Your kid's going to go through a trial. And you have to give tough love or whatever it is. Unconditional love. And your kid's going to suffer and go through a big fear. And you're going to have this awkward relationship at some time. Maybe almost divorce. And the dad goes abroad for 3 weeks to clear his head. And the kid says, he's 5 years old, and says, Dad abandoned us. One way to go, Dad. And he's saying, man, I got to get back for my kids. And the kid's saying, you abandoned us. Possible narcissist now. How do you heal that? Or let's say it's the Shekhinah in exile. Right? My mom works 20 jobs, and she can barely support us. And you say, man, my mom was never there. Everyone else had Nintendo, not my mom. Oh, I had to be the poor kid. Now it's like the Shekhinah in exile. You don't realize your mom is in exile working to pay for to give you the perfect life. But you take it as, woe is me. Narcissist. Or maybe you're the anti-narcissist. Because that's what usually comes out of it. Right? The degrees and variances. Are we the abuser? Or are we the abused? Are we the suicidal? Or the ones that are killed or receive death? And there's a rainbow of degrees. What rate are we abused and do we abuse or are abused? And that is really the Yisurin that God gives us. The challenges and rough anti-mazel life we have. As the works of mazel explain, when you're on your game and you're fixing the world, you're in your mazel. You're in Super Dave mode. When life is hard and things are coming at you with abuse and you get yelled at the store and the government says, how could you not pay the bill? You said, I didn't get my mail that day. So what? And you're getting beaten down. Right? You're not Super Dave mode. That's just, right? You're Shindal Yehudi for that moment, right? You lost your soul. You're saying, is there even a God? I know there's a God, but is he truly good? Then that's King David again, 101. Right? Usually I bounce back, but maybe I won't bounce back on this one. I.e., do I still have my mazel? Am I dead? Did you take all my gifts? And then every time King David finds out, he comes back to life, he says, thank God! I got saved again, by God. Eventually you have to realize you are either dead or alive. Choose life, says the Torah. If you have mazel, you are not dead. You may believe you're dead, and that's called dying by the sin of Adam and Eve. But if as long as you know you have mazel, you are not dead. That means you have to believe you have mazel until you believe that you don't have mazel. Because you're only dead when you really have no mazel. And if you have no mazel, you can get mazel. That's what the redemption is about. The efforts of the righteous to return mazel. Resurrection of the dead, Kabbalah, purity, holiness, temple. The job of the righteous is to give back mazel to the people and undo the perversions of abuse. Why is molestation so horrible for children? Aside from the obvious. Because that kid is never coming back by the dictations of nature. He's going to think he's bad and horrible and corrupt and weak, and how could I do this? You killed his mazel. Forget about the bodily harm you caused the guy. You made him feel inferior and miserable. That is the worst crimes that can be committed. And that's why taking someone's mazel is the worst. It doesn't heal back. Even if you chop the guy's arm off, okay, he's missing an arm, but at least he's alive and feels good about himself. He might have a vindictive measure against the guy that cut his arm off, but he has mazel. Take away their mazel, they're dead. And they're going to want to bring everyone's mazel into the grave. And it's a nasty way to go. You know, because you're defenseless. To take a child and rob his mazel. And that's the plight that we're under. Most abuse happens when we're kids. Neglect, abuse, hitting, all the things we go through with little kids. Some kids get abused more than others. Some kids are actually not abused and they make the story they are abused. There's many dynamics which is also bound by merit and mazel. The lot you come into in this world. But our job is to eradicate those problems from existence. And again, it's not just a crime that we want to stop. Don't just cut a guy's hand off. You shouldn't do that to kids. It doesn't work. They keep doing it. Threaten murder on the guy in life, the death penalty in jail doesn't work. Islam is proving that. It doesn't work. In fact, I posted on Facebook today. What does Islam say? Yeah, we'll kill the guy if he touches your kid. No problem. But they actually allow you to stare and gaze at the kid. That's not illegal. We didn't do anything. That is the crime. It's not in the physical action all the time in the actual mitzvah. It's the light of the mitzvah. Where the real life and death is. Now, it's not to negate the mitzvah. But it's also to say you have to be aware of the spiritual sins and mitzvahs in this world. That is synonymous with the Torah of Shem. Right? The aspect of Torah that's totally spiritual and not engaged in the revealed dimension. Right? You're not going to go to jail for staring out your window. But when you get upstairs, you will go to jail. If you take what's not yours of people's mazel. Then you have the Freud narcissist. Right? Or you have the narcissist and the anti-narcissist. And they all look similar. The guy who's a narcissist killer, spiritually, looks just like the narcissist. And we have to choose. Which one teaches the Torah, which one teaches the fence? which one is kosher, which one is the scammer. They look identical. And we love narcissists. We love to love them. They make us feel empowered. The boring guy doesn't. And the Torah says, once again, choose life. And now we get into Jewish narcissism, the Freud thing. The smaller the onion, the greater the fuss. This is religion, 100%. It says that all the societies are basically the same, right? My society, don't steal, don't kill, go the speed limit, don't be a moron. Over here in Bobville, don't speed, don't kill, pay your taxes, don't drive drunk. Every community has the basic kind of thing. But there's that one wrinkle. And that wrinkle we can't stand. Right? Let's look at Judaism, right? We're all black and white, and the non-Jewish perspective, or the distant Jew would say, oh, the Orthodox. Black and white, hat, socks, pants. You know, what the guy look like? I don't know. They're all the same. They're black, white, glasses, hat, yeah. And to the religious, that's not the case. If you have a hat with a pinch versus a round top, you say, wow, that guy has pinches in his hat? Here? Doesn't he know this is Crown Heights? Can't walk around with that. You say, what do you mean? What's it? Because this is not lit fish territory. It's, you know, all the little things. You say, that guy is no good. Why? Because he tucks his pants into his socks. Don't they all consider him? No, one guy is a Belzer and one guy's a Gerer. Oh, there's a difference? And those rabbis will fight. God willing, they don't, but you know, this is the thing. The smaller the thing, that's narcissism. Because they will fight, and you know, my group is the best. Because we wear our socks this way. And then you go into kosher. You know, we are the best kosher label because we don't put, I mean, really nitty gritty. That's the social media era we live in. Right? Social media, I'm on Facebook, and Rabbi Katz, wow, he's great. I love his stuff. Bam, he's on the money. One day Rabbi Katz says, I like the Steelers. Oh my God. You like the Steelers? Does he not know the ridiculous nature of what he said? But in normal reality, people get along. Yeah, but the social media isolates it a little. He spelled the word wrong. God forbid you give the benefit of the doubt that it's a misspell because he's typing on a cell phone. He can't even spell this guy. I'm not going to listen to this. Probably can't even pronounce the word right. Is he Jewish? I want to see his smicha right now. Probably a forgery. Everything else was good until he put the letter wrong, right? Okay. Now we have the real crux psychologically. And this is the article I found online. Self-esteem versus self-compassion. The narcissist is old school. Right? It used to be, oh yeah, we have to have self-esteem. Yeah, you gotta feel good about myself. Right? And nowadays they say it changed. Right? The 90s man, it got soft. Now it's self-compassion. And what it is that a self-compassionate era, self-esteem is still the modus operandi. And it's outdated. So look up esteem and look up compassion. Compassion says, man, how can I yell at Lou? He was a nice guy, and at the supermarket, he just wanted help with his groceries, and I snapped at him. I gotta apologize, that's not right. I never tell Lou that. I never see the guy again. But in my mind, I'm saying, man, I really shouldn't have done that. And if anybody asks me, hey, Dave, how do you like Lou? Oh, he's horrible. Let's kill Lou. But in my mind, I'm saying, okay, I shouldn't have done that. Right? That's a worst case scenario. The guy has compassion. Obviously, on the high end, he's working on himself. Self-esteem? Again, Shindal Yehudi? Of course I have esteem. Do you not know my value to the world? The world practically needs me at all times. And I'll tell you, my friends call me all the time. They say, hey, Dave, can you come be Superman for us? Yeah, I'm on my way. Here's my cape. Hey, we need you to do this for us. Yeah, of course, you need me, right? And I make this avodah zarah. You need me. And this is the narcissist. You need me, don't you? Yes, we need you. Of course you need me. And now I'll tell more people how they need me over there. Call me, you need me. The self-compassionate one is not even thinking in terms of, how high my value is. He says, I am a valued person. I have values. I should not be yelling at people in the supermarket. I have values. So you see how the skewed definitions in this era where we are is a time of bina, of understanding. It used to be just, hey, have a self-esteem. Quit thinking low of yourself. And you say, wow, I should think more of myself. And you were responsible enough to grow with it. Internalize it. And the narcissist would say, yes, I am actually very valuable. And the compassionate guy would say, hey, you're right, I should have values. Nowadays we have defined, are you esteemed or compassionate? Right? Words, definition, distinction, vessels, bina, understanding the time that we're in. Again, a large part of this is Kabbalah. And you'll say, what does Kabbalah have to do with this? Right? The Mochin of Zer Anpin and the Ati Gavah come in. No. Are you refined enough and Kabbalistic in Seichel enough to realize maybe there's more than just you? Maybe there's a distinction from esteem and compassion. Maybe words like pshat and pshuto are different. Maybe ger is convert and ger is ger toshav. And you're not the master of everything. And there's knowledge you don't have. And maybe we should listen to each other and not prove who's right and wrong, but how we can both be more right. That's Kabbalah. Silence your mind, focus your mind, receive the light, and hear, wow, I am right and he's right too. He's actually a good friend of mine now. I don't have to kill him because I'm more right than him. Kabbalah's goal is that. Soften your mind and hear the subtle distinctions. You say potato, I say potato. And if you spell potato wrong, maybe I spell potato my way. The non-Kabbalah guy says, in his mind, in order to articulate it, I don't need this stuff. It's probably a forgery anyways, because I know. Right? Of course I know. I know what I know. I have very value of this. Right? Kabbalah is a very big signpost, and not the textual Kabbalah. Right? Are you truly open-minded? Are you truly able to be penetrated in your mind and open your mind, the spiritual aspect, to let the light in and fly up off the ground a little bit and let yourself grow and analyze life, as opposed to the body, no mazel, I know it all, no soul, no mazel, all about me, what I learned. Big difference. I think a very simple expression of the politician and the narcissist. George Bush Jr. was a politician. If you die, he will gain from that. But he's not the guy making you die. Conspiracy theories aside. Obama, he is not a politician. He is a narcissist. He is going to kill you. And when you die, he will say, hey, what an opportunistic time for the bin Laden to die. What can we do? Difference is, the politician looks for you to die and capitalizes on your death. Spiritually, not physically. The narcissist says, if I get him to die, all the more so I will gain. Right? The politician and the narcissist. Right? The level of abuse versus kill. Right? The degree of evil or yetzer that we internalize. The job is to get that out of our system. Right? To judge favorably. Stop looking for demise. The entire Torah is in this concept. Love your neighbor as yourself. When you can do that, you have the emunah of knowing God. And what do the commentaries say that mitzvah is? Do not say that this is an impossible mitzvah. How can I do it? You are expected to love your neighbor as yourself. This is just a side point. Right? Take a lighter feel for a second. Anybody hear the term in Yiddish, shlomazel? Right? Everybody knows my website's called Soul Mazel. when I know a really yeshivish guy, I hadn't seen him in a while, and he says, "Hey, David Katz, what are you up to these days?" I said, "Well, you know, I have and our website's called Soul Mazel." He says, "Shlamazel?" No, Soul Mazel. But what is a Shlamazel? Shlamazel is Yiddish for Shelo Mazal. This guy has no mazel. Right? And then there's Shlomiel. He has no God. Shlomo Kiel. And it's a big deal. Because it's a concept. Right? That guy, he's a Shlamazel. That's a big deal. You're saying that guy has no mazel. You're saying, stay away. That's a narcissist. Where does the word narcissism come from? It comes from the Greek. I forget. It's in the articles I printed out. I forget the exact thing. What's the name? Narcissist? It comes from Narcissus. And the basic story is, I didn't go deep into it. Just got the point of the class. Was it God? Was he a god in Greek? Greek god? Whatever he was. A god, Greek person. I don't want to get into the mythology, right? He's looking in the water. It comes from a Greek river god, whatever. So he's looking in the water. He sees his image, and he falls in love with his image. He says, "Wow, I am amazing." So at that point, the water, the moment, it was a mazel moment, really. Because we all know the way, that's the art of a selfie, isn't it? Right? You keep doing selfies until you get the right moment. Oh, that's the one. You took 500 selfies, and the one with the angle where you did this and that, and the light and the shadow, finally you look like a demigod. But all the other ones look like an animal. We throw those out. Right? So he had the miraculous moment, the water, the light, the shadow, the angle. Wow! I am God's gift! And he falls in love with himself. He's a narcissist. That is narcissism. That's why the internet is it. Again, you can take 1,000,000 selfies. I guarantee you, any of you out there, take 500 pictures of yourself. In every way, shape, and form, you will look good in one of them. At least. And then go post on the dating website and be like, hey... Right? You can look good. What is the real truth of what we look like? That's the point. Who cares? It's mazel anyways. So forget it and go to the mazel and say, what do I look good as? Doing mitzvahs and kindness and charity and being a good person. Not because you tell yourself you are, because you connect to the gifts that God gives you. Instead of divorcing that and isolating yourself in isolated situations where you have contrived yourself to look great. And then you say, man, I really do look great. And then you spread that business card around. Hey, this is me when I was looking great. I helped an old lady across the street. See, there she is. She had the groceries, and I patted her on the back and told her how great she was. And she smiled, and she said, "You're great." I said, "I know. Of course I'm great." And you just spread that story. Right? New friend over here. Oh, yeah, last Thursday? Oh, I was helping the lady across the street. Man, it was great. Right? You just tell the same story. All your friends, and you get worship points. Whereas by your gifts that God gives you, it's not up to you. It's not up to you what you do. And you wouldn't be able to tell it over anyways. Because that's how God does it. When you really are clicking in you can't give that over. That's between you and the person. Then the two of you have a bonding moment. Man, remember when I was stuck in the mud and you happened to be driving by? Yeah, it was Providence. I didn't even know what I was doing. I drove by and you were there. Yeah, it was amazing. Now who are you going to tell? It's like the joke, if you hit a hole-in-one on Shabbos, right? The guy that goes out breaks Shabbos hits a hole-in-one. You say, okay, great, now who's he going to tell? Okay. The idea is, if you have no mazel, we have time in the battery? If you have no mazel, I thought about this. I thought, okay, who are you in Torah? Which character are you? Bilam? Nah. Lovin? Esav? Nachash? Paro? I thought, I know who you are. The guy with no mazel? You are the Eved, the slave. That is slave. Right? But a really beaten down one. Right? He has no mazel, and his narcissism just made him go, he's out. And the Torah gives the remedy for the slave. Right? You say, how could the Torah have slavery? This guy is that bad. Lowest common denominator. He fell into some problems. But so he's a slave, he's got a master. And the master says, hey, Jimbo, come. We're going to do make Havdalah. Come on. You're doing good. Encourage the guy. Give him back his muzzle. That's what Jewish slavery is. You're supposed to get the people built up so that the highest charity is you build them up so he'll never need charity again. Now, for whatever reason, the slave jumps ship and goes to Eretz Yisrael, and he realizes the light and truth. He is no longer a slave. In fact, the Rambam and the Talmud calls him a Ger Tzedek. Mind you, bonus point for this, this is the source in the Torah and the Rambam that a Ger Tzedek is a non-Jew sometimes. Got that? We know a Ger Tzedek is a convert, and there's a Ger Tzedek level that is a non-Jew. This is the Sifri on the verse in Devarim, I forget the verse, the slave who goes from outside the land to Eretz Yisrael to do mitzvahs. Not all 613, it says explicitly, he is considered Ger Tzedek. Why? He is a stranger in the land, not for the sake of the land, but for the sake of the mitzvot. Therefore, he has regained his mazel, he is in the land, he is a Ger Toshav, not for the sake of dwelling Toshav, but for being right. Tzedek means right, as in, that guy's right, way to go. I mean, he's doing the right thing. So for all those that want to know about the Ger Toshav, this is got a side issue. Right? Ger Toshav in the world today, the actual law is the halachic Ger Toshav comes in the time of Jubilee. When we talk about a Ger Toshav that goes through even not Jubilee, the technicality is he's a Ger Toshav. We consider him the status of Ger Tzedek, non-Jew. It is a terminology. The words are strictly terminology words. They are not meant to be this or that. Why? Narcissism. Right? I am the Ger Tzedek. No! You missed the point. Right? It is the humble term. Don't be a Shindal Yehudi about it. Right? I am this, and you're saying, no. The Torah uses words to describe what type of person is this. We say, oh, it's the kind of person that lives in Israel because he loves God. What do we call that person? Let's call him a Ger Toshav Ger Tzedek. It's just words. I.e., we recognize his mazel, and we are not being mockbeat and diligent in the words. Why the rabbis made it difficult in the words, I don't know. But the point is, the rabbinic usage of those words is taking his mazel into account. The slave became a functioning human. He has gained his mazel. Now, the healing took place and he went to Israel. That is the point of contention here. He went to the land. He received an elevation in the land. Are we good on time? The land has the ability to heal. Vilna Gaon, Song of Songs. The essence of Song of Songs. Black and I'm beautiful. I'm in exile. I have the problems of this and that. And the goal through the entire Song of Songs, get to Israel. Right? Get that slave mentality that we have no mazel and get to the Holy Land. Get to where God is, the mitzvahs are, the mazel is. That is the healing. That's the refuah. And we see from it, thank God, a slave can be healed. In Islam, you're a slave forever. In Torah, a slave means you've been abused. You've been abused and kicked around. And why that happened, it's our job to fix it. We should make a world where there is no more loss of mazel. And our job is to restore that mazel. And it's possible. Eretz Yisrael mentality, God relationship mentality, doing the right thing mentality, on both sides. And as for every gear concept, there's a concept in Torah, mitzvah l'chiyuso, give him vitality. So if you see a guy without mazel, give him his mazel. We have a gullus mentality, exile mentality. Quite simply, we have been in exile a long time. And we have problems that cannot be solved. A lot of people are saying there's no ger today because blah, blah, blah. Alright? For whatever you hold by, the answer, the wrong answer, the politics behind it, the narcissist behind it, Rav David Lau, this one and that one, this, the fights on Facebook, is there a ger or not? We have very simple fractal here. We are in exile where today there has been no ger. We know that in redemption there is a ger. There's a lot of people out there, like 7 billion, and ger is the answer to bring them out from their lack of mazel. Right? We are in exile, and it requires a redemption answer to fix it. Agreed? And everyone's saying, yeah, we need redemption, but who are we to have redemption? The Torah says we are stuck in exile. And no one ever thought, give back the mazel. First of all, you're learning it wrong. Second of all, you're an anti-Kabbalah in your mind. You're not soft. You're not seeing it. You're being a narcissist. You're deifying the body. You're not seeing the soul. Give back the mazel. Godless problems need redemption answers. And I'm not saying reinstitute going out there and building Herod's temple. But start understanding we need a temple to get out of the problem. Right? People are in bad marriages. Why? Because the Torah prescribes kosher marriages that we can't do. In some cases. And we say, oh, hey, suck it up, keep going. In fact, the rabbis are more willing to take away the kahuna and to put them in a bad marriage against kahuna than to accentuate kahuna and save the world through the kahuna. And Levi and all these things. And what really drives me nuts is when people say a Jew is a Jew is a Jew. No, he isn't. I'm not like you. A Cohen is not a Jew. A Cohen is a Cohen. A Jew is an Israelite, he's an Israelite. A Levi is a Levi, and a Ger is a Ger. A slave is a slave, a this is a that. They are not the same. The Cohen is a different species of human being than Levi. Levi is a different species than the Israelite. A male is a different species than a female. A female is a different species than a male. And you say, but we all look the same. We don't. That's the narcissist. It says, you're just like me. I'm not. My muzzle says I'm quite different than you. The Torah says I have different mitzvahs than you. I have different halachas than you. I do different things than you. The Torah says a Cohen is this way or that way. Right? A Cohen gets mad easily. Do you get mad easily? No, because you're not a Cohen. Cohen rushes to do mitzvahs. A Levi doesn't. And we say, but in exile, so what? There's no temple. A Jew is a Jew. It's just halacha. It isn't. Mazel distinguishes the person in types of Jews, in types of ger, in types of human beings. No two Jews are like. No two ger are like. No two humans are like. Mazel is different. The more we dumb down mazel and say it's all McDonald's quality in an institution, that is wrong. That is the Roman Church society of Galus Edom we live in. The mazel must be returned to repair the universe. And you'll say, what is mazel? The answer is, go find out. It's all in the Torah. It's out there. It's in there. It's in there. It's knowledge of your name, knowledge of these concepts. It's not the cookie-cutter Torah that's being practiced today, i.e. teaching the fence without the Torah. We have mastered exile Torah. Mastered it. And I'm not saying throw it away. I'm saying reintroduce the mazel element to the body. Because that's where we are. In a narcissist sick society. Gullus exile has done its job. 1,000 years ago, maybe the narcissist problem wasn't so bad. Now it is. Now it is. You know, if you're in a temple society, we must understand the mazel of the Cohen, Levi, Israel, Ger, male, female. Then you get into the energies of Torah, this book, that book, the different tractates, different words. And again, esteem is not compassion. It's not the same mazel. If I call you an esteemed person or a compassionate person, don't tell me it's the same. It isn't. If I call you in Torah an Ish or an Adam, is it the same? No, it isn't. If I say bet with a dagish and bet without a dagish, is it the same? It isn't. Everything needs investigated. Because that is the mazel channel into the vessel itself. When we can begin to appreciate the Kohanim and the Leviim and the Israelites and the Ger and the women and everybody, things will change. But no, what do? The clip is siphoned and say we're all the same. In fact, you have no name. Your name doesn't mean anything. That's Gehenna. And that's where we are. And it's a sick society filled with narcissists. We fight it. We internally, we say, we do have a name. I matter. I mean something. And the narcissist says, hey, you're a narcissist. The answer is, no, I'm not. I'm trying to be compassionate to myself and say, what's going on? Who am I, Bichlal? Where am I going? What am I doing? That's the war. If you have mazel, then you have to get that in batachon to the point where you say, there's no such thing as I don't have mazel. That's what King David was after in Psalms. He had to learn, if I have mazel, there's never a time that I don't have mazel. God is there. It's not depending on you to be the Superman or your own savior. God is with you. When you're dead and you have no mazel, then you are your own savior, and God is not with you. And it is the saddest situation in the world, and that person will go through their demise, either in this world or the next. And that is he has been abused, and it is a problem. It is our job to bring resurrection of the dead mentality, bring back the mazel, and help those people. Even a Moloch can become a ger, as you pointed out, Isaiah 44:4. Even a Moloch. You say we have to kill a Moloch. Yes, but you can also make them a ger. You can bring them back their mazel. They can repent and change their ways. Moses will repair the error of Rav in the end. And with that, we'll wrap it up and say, are you a case of abuse? Are you being exploited? Do you exploit? Are you exploited? Do you abuse? Are you abused? You know, I thought of a case. You know, Andre Agassi is a pro tennis player, and this is like one of those cases where the parents, milked the system because the kid was good, and they drove him and drove him and drove him. You're going to make us a lot of money. Narcissist. I don't know if he is, but I haven't checked it out. But I'm saying, that's the thing. The parents get a vision. My kid's going to be this and that. Look at Tiger Woods. His dad proclaimed him the Messiah of golfing before he was born. And he was it. He became it. And now look at the guy. Fell apart in his personal life. He thought he was bigger than the world. Exploited. We see our kids' potential and we say, my kid's going to make sure I never suffer again. My kid will make sure I'm never lonely. You're going to be the best ever. And the kid is something totally different. And he's abused and abused and abused. Well, actually, you sucked the mazel out of him. He was going to be an artist, and you said, you're a lawyer. And now that you sucked the mazel out, now he goes to you because you pump him up. You're the best. You're the best. You're the best. And he says, I am the best. But now I got to be in this abusive relationship, right, where you tell me I'm the best, and you abuse me, and then I go out and abuse others. Narcissist. The compassionate person says, what am I doing in my life? Should I be an artist or a lawyer? And people hopefully will nurture him to understand his mazel. I think now we've painted the picture pretty clearly. The idea is we can know if we're healthy or not. We can know that the mind can be repaired. We can know that we can help others. And I'll close with this. The tikkun in this generation, whether it's the end or not, I don't know. But our job is very clearly, mazel is missing from this generation. Right? We've been building up Kabbalah for a while since the creation of the State of Israel. Mazel is a strange concept in Torah. It is not astrology. It is not constellations. It is the connection and awareness of your soul to repair the concept, a rare concept of Talmud and Zohar literature, Shin Daled Yehudi. He who is not a demon, he is a guy who lives in his body, has no connection to the Tselem Elokim, and he esteems himself as a superior body with a skewed vision. Bring back the mazel, and then we can live in a time of bringing back the true Elokus of the Bris Rishonim.